Welcome to Unity of Buffalo, a positive path for spiritual living. And if you want to know what 2 tons of salt does, that's what they put on our parking lot Friday afternoon. 2 tons of salt.
What did that cost?
Well,
We don't want to know.
we haven't gotten the bill yet. But it's over and above the regular plowing, I can tell you that. So.
Maybe the city needs to use some of that.
$200. So. But it really works, so I'm grateful that things are a lot better, but it wasn't that way a few days ago. So.
I have $5 towards the salt.
Okay, yeah, maybe we may take a special collection. Okay. So as we get ready, prepare to begin our service this morning, I want to invite you to please quiet your cell phone. And just as a reminder that if you have an important call or something that comes up during the service, please just step out into the front foyer or go downstairs to take your call. But if you're on Facebook and you want to post and let people know you're here at Unity of Buffalo, that's great. But otherwise, we're all fully here and present for each other right now. And we're going to begin our service by singing Joy Rising. And if you'd like to stand with me, you can, or you can sit whatever is comfortable. But let's sing along with Claudia Caravan. Joy Rising. We don't have lyrics, so sorry. You can move to it. Good morning. Welcome. We got raise our energy a little bit. So let's begin with an opening prayer. If you'll join me in taking a moment to feel the joy rising up from deep within us. As we come together this morning with open hearts, open minds, and a sense for the infinite possibility of good that lies within us and before us. We bless our community, our world. We see that everyone is able to travel safely to where they need to go today. And the ice is melting, the thaw is happening, and our hearts are just opening more and more in every moment to embrace and give thanks for the blessings that we are, that are in our lives, and that together we are creating. Thank you, God. Amen. So let's also affirm our invocation, the core foundational principle of unity. There is only one presence and one power, living as the universe and as me, God the good, omnipotent. And our Unity of Buffalo blessing is to affirm our vision, mission, and core values. So we envision together a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission is practicing the presence of God through prayer, education, service, creativity, and community. And our core values, we can do this together. One is to be loving, give ourselves some love, give yourself a hug, and extend that love to others. Spiritually centered, to tap our hearts, open and inclusive, respectful, namaste, and compassionate. How can I extend my heart, my hands, my love to others? And now it's time for the daily word reading, which is a way that we practice our mission of learning and prayer and education and service. And Nikki is going to share with us a message today about let go and let God. It's right here. You got it? Okay.
Thank you, Reverend Mary. Good morning, Unity.
Good morning.
And a special hello to our Facebook and online friends. Today's theme is a familiar one, Let Go, Let God, for Sunday, February 26, 2023. I bravely release outworn behaviors and embrace my bright, brilliant future. Holding on to what no longer serves me because it is familiar and I've grown accustomed to it may stall my growth. I evolve much more quickly when I trust my guidance and release old patterns and behaviors. In my heart, I know that when I move away from a dysfunctional relationship, a negative attitude, or unhealthy way of living, I move towards something greater: peace, safety, harmony, freedom, and fulfillment. I let go of anxiety or fear and open myself to happiness and security. I breathe in freedom. My heart becomes buoyant and my steps lighter. I set my intention today to release anything I have been fearful of letting go of so that I can confidently move forward, open to infinite good. And the biblical verse that supports this passage is, truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you lose on earth will be lost in heaven. Matthew chapter 18, verse 18. And if you can repeat the affirmation on the screen.
I bravely release outworn behaviors and embrace my bright, brilliant future.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody, I know they're in your thoughts and prayers, but please keep praying for Turkey, the wonderful people of Turkey and Syria and Ukraine and basically everybody suffering throughout the world. And also, please also pray for the wonderful President Carter and his family. He's my favorite president. God bless them. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you for reminding us of those important things to hold in prayer. So, today, we're continuing. I understand we had a pretty good turnout yesterday for the spirit group, so I wasn't sure how it would go with the weather, but we're continuing on this series about what if it all goes right. And I like to emphasize that there's a second part to the title of the book. It's Creating a New World of Peace, Prosperity, and Possibility. That sounds a lot like our vision, a world of peace, abundance, and prosperity for all. And, you know, of course, the book is very much about this simple question that is not so simple in its effects and its profound effects of, you know, the idea is coming together with a group of supportive, open-minded, playful, fun, creative people who want to join you in brainstorming the answer to the question, well, what if it all goes right? What if today is the best service, the best message you've ever heard? What if this is the message that you know, totally shifts something for you? What if today in this room you meet somebody that makes a connection? That, you know, what if all kinds of things? And just when we ask that question, it shifts our energy. You know, helps us to feel more hopeful or light, or a lot of laughter usually occurs, and that's a good thing. I like laughter. And often, as a result of spending time asking that question, what if, whatever, fill in the blank, is really the best thing that ever happened to you, or what if it all goes right, that you wind up with kind of a list of ideas of things you can take action on. Well, what if I called somebody? What if I did this? What if I did that? What if I thought about a new way to approach something? And so action, as we know, is a very important part of the creative process. You know, we can think our thoughts, we can pray, but there's always a time when we have to move our feet too, you know, say the prayer, but move your feet. But what I want to talk about today is it's not just any action. You know, we all know people, and I'm sure guilty of one of them. We can be busy a lot and have a long to-do list, but it's not just staying busy, but it's inspired action that makes the difference. And that's what I want to talk about today is inspired action. You know, and when I was reading the chapters that the Spirit Group's people are reading this week, there was one sentence that really stood out to me, and I think it's the next one here on the screen, that most of us were taught to face reality long before we were ever taught that we create our reality. I thought, well, how many of you heard that growing up? Oh, you just face reality, you know, get real. That's not going to happen, you know. That we all were told, just live with it or face reality. And, you know, the more I thought about it, I think many people are stuck in limited thinking about what they think reality is, and they're trying to get us to collude with them into saying, oh yeah, you're right. That's just the way things are. You know, the world's never going to change, or I can't do that. But, you know, this week, somebody shared with me, I was on a call, I came upon a list of people who didn't do that, who chose to create a new reality rather than to accept the reality that was handed to them. And it's a list of 120 inventions created by African Americans. I'm not going to read you the whole 120 list, but imagine what our world would be like if we didn't have traffic lights, automatic gear shifts, automatic elevator doors, gas heating furnaces, thermostats, home security systems, ice cream scoopers, egg beaters, bottle caps, gas masks, protective mailboxes, cellular phones, blood banks, guitars, a player piano, fountain pen, folding chair, dustpan, mop, curtain rod, hairbrush, clothes dryer, modern toilet, lamps, door stop, door knob, kitchen table, refrigerator, lantern, wrench, fire escape ladder, stair climbing wheelchair, maybe it's like that, golf tees, and my favorite, one of the basic food groups, potato chips. I don't know if that's one of the main food groups, isn't it? I gotta have some every day. So all these things were inventions by African Americans, many of them by women, I was pleased to know. But I feel like that's an example of inspired action. You know, Henry David Thoreau said, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. So inspired action means looking at situations and looking at maybe what's a problem or a need or something that could be made better. And instead of just saying, oh, well, that's how it is, that's reality, they thought about how could I create a new reality? How could I make this better? How could I create something that will serve more people? So, you know, I kind of just wanted to ask you, inspired action. You know, to me, it's kind of like artwork. It's kind of like what the Supreme Court said about pornography. You know, sometimes it's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it. I don't know, what does inspired action look like, feel like to you? Gosh.
A smile.
A smile, yeah.
A kind word.
Kind word, kind word.
Paying it forward.
Paying it forward.
Surprising somebody, or just buying a gift or doing something for somebody that they don't expect,
Yeah, doing something for someone that they don't expect.
just because.
Yeah, just because. So it's lots of things. And as I go on today, maybe you'll have some more insights. But Mindy in her book talks about inspired action as like a eureka moment. You know, that eureka, aha. And it's based on a Greek word meaning I found it. That it's sort of that moment of sudden, unexpected discovery. Oh, we could put a knob on a door. That would make it easier. You know, nobody thought that before, and then somebody did. You know, I kind of think of often when I write my talks on Sunday, for me it's kind of like a hero's journey for the week. You know, I go out in the week, I have my life experiences and things, and then I think about, well, what did I learn this week, or what happened? And then I get to come back and share with you, share with the community. Oh, guess what I discovered? I saw something new, or I had a new insight about inspired action and how important it is. But, you know, Mindy says that inspiration is like that our imagination syncs with our creative energies of love and enthusiasm and wisdom. It's really kind of an alignment with our higher self. It's a time when sort of answers become clear. You just kind of, oh, I know, it feels right. You know, and she says inspiration to act entices our spirit so deliciously that we can't sit still. I thought, oh, that's a good choice of words. So deliciously, we just gotta get up and grab a paintbrush and do something, put something on canvas. So eureka is that sense of, oh, I found it, or this sweet inspiration. You know, and I think an inspired action is something that comes from our inner knowing. You know, that there's something deep within us that sort of just calls us to take action. You know, even if it doesn't make sense, or it's almost doesn't seem logical. But I'm going to do it anyway because I just feel guided to do that. And so we're kind of compelled to just trust that I don't know why I feel like I should send a check somewhere or call somebody or do something, but I just think I should do it. And it creates peace, prosperity, and possibility. I heard someone say that inspired action is something that feels good. You know, that you feel good when you do it, or feels right. You know, or you can have this sense your entire body. Breathing the sigh of relief. This is where I'm meant to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing now. This is where I'm at. So it kind of made me think about that poem by Walt Whitman, The Road Less Traveled. And he said, at the end, he says, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. You can think about that sometimes in our lives, and I think about, you can think about times in your lives, pivotal moments, when you made a decision, or I think about my choice about where I went to college. I was thinking about the different places, and the university that I chose, it made all the difference. Or a relationship, or a move, or a career choice. Those pivotal moments when it was like the fork in the road and you chose maybe a road less traveled. I think about inspiration. I think about my mom passed, when I was in high school, I've shared before, but a year or 2 before she passed. Her father was a Methodist minister, and we had grown up Methodist, and we were pretty much regular Methodist churchgoers, but the last couple of years of her life, she had, I think it's inspiration, to take me around to a bunch of different churches. And I remember over a period of about 6 months, I don't know, we went to like 10 different churches. We probably went to an Episcopal church, and a Lutheran church, and Presbyterian church, and Catholic church, and I don't even remember her explaining why, but she just kind of, and now that I look back on it, I think that it was kind of her way of wanting me to know that there's a lot of other churches out there. There's a lot of other approaches to religion, and that at some point in my life, when I got older or something, that it would be okay to go out and search and find what was right for me. And of course, later I found unity, and it is the thing that's really been right for me. But she had that inspiration, so she wanted me to kind of know that there are other places out there, and it's okay to search, ask, knock, search, and find. So, inspired action can be a lot of things. It can be, sometimes just a first step that leads us to something far greater than we ever would have imagined. It might be on a flute. Walking into a guitar store one day, and you say, I'm curious about this, I think I need to take a class. Or taking an art, because you have to take an elective in college, and suddenly it opens up a whole other world you never would have thought of. And I thought about inspired action around our church. It might be just calling someone that you've been thinking about for a while, but you haven't seen recently. Or it might be asking one of our prayer chaplains to pray with you after the service. Or it could be someone I know deciding to come for a playback theater rehearsal and try out when they've never done anything like that before. And say, I'm willing to stand up here and try something. Or contributing a piece of art to our Unity Art Gallery. Or it might be inviting a friend to Unity. Buying a labyrinth brick for someone, taking a class, volunteering in the office. Kyle's been doing that a lot. Bringing in donations for the SPCA and Clara's Closet, or introducing yourself to a newcomer after the service, talking to somebody you don't usually talk to. But as I think about it, I think inspired action is how God works in the world. And since we know that God is love, then it's how love comes into expression. I like what she said, that inspired action is love in expression. And since we know God is love, God's not a super being loving, but God is the energy of love itself. Love is the great creative power of the universe. So since God is love, then every love-inspired act is an expression of the divine. So that's a good little sort of logical step-by-step thought here, and I really like that. So I thought, well, how can we facilitate more of this, more expression of love, more expression of the divine in the world? And I think a good place to start is what she talks about with this distinction between being and doing. And it just kind of goes back to Stephen Covey's book, First Things First. You just have to always put first things first. And the first thing is knowing that being is doing. That there's a place for action. Of course, there's stuff we have to do, and we've got our to-do list, but the important thing to remember is that action is only as valuable as the consciousness from which it is inspired. That just getting busy and doing stuff is not as important as first having that place in consciousness where, it's who it's sort of like they say sometimes who you're being speaks louder than words. And so it doesn't matter so much how much you got accomplished. She talks about, that if you're trying to create abundance from a consciousness of fear, there's no action in the world that's going to get you there. Or if you're trying to create a loving relationship from a consciousness of unworthiness or lack of trust, then it doesn't matter if you've got the perfect clothes and perfect makeup and exercise and diet and you're doing online dating and all these bar hopping. You're never going to find the relationship you really want until you first get clear on your consciousness. And I like to think, the Bible is just full of examples of this. Moses, when you think about Moses, he went up to the top of the mountain. He had to have a mountaintop experience before he could come back and sort of lead the people through the promised land. And what that represents really is that he had a change in consciousness, or he had to get a glimpse of things from the highest perspective before he could come back down and deal with all the murmur, the complaining, wandering in the desert, in the wilderness. I thought, oh man, we have a lot of sometimes murmur that we deal with in our own lives, our own self, doubt and question and wondering, and all the messages about how just face reality, In order to deal with all of that murmur, we need to first give ourselves a little bit of a mountaintop experience of being able to see things. So elevating your being is the most important thing you can do in the creative process. And so we need, spiritual practices, spiritual teachings, spiritual community, people to support us, that help us to have the consciousness that reveals then what is our inspired action. And I think one of those little spiritual practices is just a simple question: what if up? What if, whatever you're looking at right now, whatever's going on in your life, whatever's coming up, or whatever direction you want to move in, just asking that, what if it all goes right? What if this is the best thing? What if I'm just on the verge of breaking through to something even more wonderful? Mindy tells a story about she was in a workshop, or she was leading a workshop on this subject at a conference, and there was a man in the class, and he said, I really want to find my perfect soulmate. I'm ready now. I really want to find that. And so they used him as an example, and everybody kind of brainstormed. What if, what if you meet her this week? What if, even from a distance, you just know right away that's the one, you recognize him. What if you meet her at this conference this week? What if she's in this room right now? And he walked out of there feeling really hopeful, and oh my gosh, you start to look very differently at the world. A couple days later, he ran into Mindy in the hallway, and he told her, guess what? I found her. I just had to let her know I found her. And he went on to say that he realized that he already knew his perfect soulmate. There was somebody he had dated 3 years ago, and she really wanted to get married, and he just wasn't ready, and so they broke off the relationship. But after thinking about it and going through this process, he realized she really is the one for him. And he went on to fill out this application to be part of some reality TV show called The Perfect Proposal. And he got approved to be able to propose to his perfect mate on top of the Space Needle, I guess, or Space Mountain on a live national TV show. Some crazy thing, but anyway, just asking that question. But the important thing is what was going on inside him that made him open to this realization that he genuinely was in touch with this sense of joy rising, I guess, and excitement, and there was a readiness and openness, a consciousness of, I'm worthy, and I'm ready, and I want to, look around, and the person was already in his life, he just didn't realize it. So inspired action, there's really a few things that she says about this. The idea of being is doing, to know that, being is doing. And then putting our consciousness first. And then that there's always stuff we got to release and let go of. There's things that, that if you're in fear, they say that's the absolute worst time to make a decision or take an action. Find a way to release the fear and then see what reveals itself. And so it's actually perfect that you all have been given 40 days of letting go. That's our theme. It's really basically the theme every year, letting go and releasing. And I like to, in unity, in many churches, the emphasis is on giving up something, food or a habit or something. But I like to think that Lent is an acronym for two things. Let's eliminate negative thoughts, and let's entertain new thoughts. Let's replace that with something new. But it's an opportunity over these 40 days to think about, how do you want to make a commitment to yourself, to God, to just deepen your spiritual practice, to deepen your letting go. And I actually saw a talk that Mindy gave where she talked about there are going to be 3 levels of releasing. It might be something you want to release that's a habit, coffee or chocolate or something. She said for her it was, binge watching some TV shows on Netflix and staying up later than she needed to. Some of us do that. But we can also release an attitude, just give it up to a higher power, maybe an attitude that's based on one of those face reality messages you may have heard. And then, a highest level of letting go is a way of being. Think about it, is there a way of being that you just kind of show up in the world? Maybe as a victim or feeling unworthy or thinking that life is a struggle. Is there some kind of pattern that it's just time to let that go? And I really like the way they've organized the readings for this year's Lenten. There's a process of letting go, process of non-resistance, process of detachment, process of denying the power, and process of surrender. And so I really encourage you to read this, and we'll be talking more about it over the next few weeks. But we can think about Lent, because it's by committing to 40 days. 40 days is an important number for spiritual fulfillment, preparation, of preparing. It's a time of laying the foundation, 4 square, a solid foundation for what is to come, for a big breakthrough for ourselves. And we can think of Lent as also being kind of like running a race, or preparing to run a race. And there's an Olympic gold medalist, Carl Lewis. You may have heard of him. He's a very successful track runner. And he was asked one time, well, what do you do to mentally prepare for a race? And he said, well, my thoughts are a big part of my preparation. And he said, it's really simple. He said, there's 3 things I do. Get out of the blocks, run your race, and stay relaxed. Try to remember those things. Get out of the blocks, run my race, and stay relaxed. And he said, when I do that, things always go well. My energy's focused. And so, I thought we could take those 3 things, and Mindy suggests too, and just apply those mentally for our own selves. The idea of getting out of the blocks means in the creative process that we need to kind of let go of our attachment to outcomes, the things that sort of block us from having access to creative possibility. I heard somewhere, don't just get outside the box, get rid of the box. Forget the box of what you think is possible. And I always like to think, when I do vision boards and maps and things, that I'm not as attached to that it's gotta, that my vision's gonna show it's gonna be a red car with this color and that thing, but rather to focus on the qualities of the experience that I want to have. How do I want to feel? What kind of attitude? What energy do I want to bring to something? How do I want to feel different within myself? How do I want to relate differently, perhaps, to what's going on in the world? And then, whatever shifts in the outer, whatever shows up, is always appropriate. And then this idea of running your race, it's just sort of an essence of our creative power is love, that we just have to be our authentic self. Don't be looking around at what everybody else is thinking or saying or doing. Don't worry about how things look in the moment. Just allow love to be your North Star, to be your anchor. Just do what is yours to do. Ask, what would love do? And I love this quote from Howard Thurman. He says, don't ask yourself what the world needs or what I should be doing, but ask what makes you come along and go do that. Because what the world needs more than anything else is people who have come alive. And then the third thing is to stay relaxed. Just stay connected to your inner wisdom. Just trust. Take each step. Every time you take one little step, you see something different. More is revealed. And just be open to a path of ease and grace. So I like this idea. Get out of the blocks. Run your race. Just be yourself. Do what feels right to you, and stay relaxed. Stay in the flow and trust that things are going to come. And then I think you'll find that you're in alignment, and you're living inspired action. And what's meant to come to you will come to you. And so this was the scripture in the little Lent booklet for today, and I thought, oh, that's perfect. I love this. I am confident of this, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion by the day of Jesus Christ. That whatever it is you've started, whatever it is that you're moving towards, it will come, that good work among you will be brought to completion in a perfect and right time. Amen. So with that's inspired action. And now we're going to take this into our meditation time. And today we're using some YouTube videos, but I have some good news about that, is that Material has connected us with a couple of students at UV who are soloists or singers, and we're going to have some of them come and sing for us during our Sunday services, and one of them will be here next Sunday, Kevin Bessler. So we're going to begin to have some live soloists for our music. But for today, let's sing along with Gentle With Myself. Max, do you want to just dim those lights a little?
I will hold my heart
so I invite you to gently close your eyes if you haven't already, or take a few deep breaths. As we affirm that this is inspired action, being gentle with ourselves and with others. That it is inspired to only go as fast as the slowest part of us wants to go. To be gentle and loving and tender and patient with ourselves. And so in this time of Lent, of letting go and letting God, we prepare our hearts to release anything that disturbs the waters, so that we can be in this place right now of quiet waters, of stillness. And let us listen carefully for how the Spirit is speaking to us this morning. That we might be an expression of inspired action. thoughts and behaviors, and embrace my bright, brilliant future. So I invite you to just take a deep breath and let out a sigh. This is an inspired moment, a really good moment. As we now open our hearts for prayer, Sheila is going to lead us in prayer, and we have several people, including Michelle and Mary, Julie, Papa, Carol, Joyce, Christopher, Exerius, mother and family. And I also received a call this morning from Mary Beth. Her Aunt Pat has passed. She passed last night, this morning. Peacefully, so. Let us now bring to mind and prayers, if you want to speak softly, names of people. Sheila, lead us in prayer. Please make sure you speak loud so people can hear.
As we continue in prayer, as we begin this Lent process, let us all know that all is truly God. That the thoughts we may have are co-created with the Christ within, are coming from love, coming from peace, coming with ease, that the joy within us seeks to get out and become inspired action for our daily lives and the lives of others. Knowing that solutions are already in process. Knowing that the love that we walk with every moment of every day is in action, begging to come out. The I am that is within all of us is present, is prosperous, is with us in each and every moment. And in actuality, letting go is letting in the love, letting in the joy, letting in the transformation of all that is and of all that is yet to be. We are truly at peace, at rest, at love. And as we interact with each other on a daily basis, this is what we share, regardless of outward appearances. This is what we come to expect. This is what we express, whether we know it or not. We are love. We are peace. We are prosperity. And for this we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
seminars today, so good to see some friends back that we haven't seen in a while. So we'll move on to our opportunity for sharing our love offerings. It's an opportunity to contribute to the mission of our ministry, and as we say each week, you can give in person, which is really appreciated, and you can also give online through our website or through the mail by mailing check. And I like to think of this as thoughtful, generous giving from a grateful heart. And we give it with a consciousness of gratitude and appreciation. So if you will prepare the gifts or the gifts that you have and hold it in your hand, we'll bless this energy. That everything that we give out comes back to us multiplied many times, and let's affirm together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Freely I give, and freely I receive. Thank you, God. And give this blessing for what's given today and for everything that comes in throughout the week and the month. Okay, Max and Marianne, start our chat here. So together, we bless these gifts and see them pressed down, shaken together, heaped up, and running over to every giver. Thank you, God. Amen. So, and we have a few transformational announcements. Several things happening next week. Potluck Sunday, first Sunday of the month, so we're on for that. Also, there's a group of people that are interested in having us do a yard sale, probably in June, but they're talking about doing it a little bit differently than we've done in the past, so there's going to be a yard sale planning team meeting next Sunday after church, and Carol and Max are kind of singing that together. Also, as I said, Kevin's going to be with us next Sunday, singing, being a soloist for our service. And also, the following Tuesday, we're going to take down all this art show. So if you have art here, you could take it down next Sunday, take it home with you, or plan to be here on Tuesday, March 7th, and take it down because we have a new show coming up, right, Judy? And mostly, we want to say thank you to all the people that contributed to this show. And some of these pieces are for sale, so this is a last chance to put one in your home if there's something you really like. A couple of things, I haven't talked too much about it, but Lynn Tranchel and I are offering a class on prosperity Monday afternoons. I think it's probably going to be at 2 o'clock on Zoom. Reading some of the classic books, Eric Butterworth's Spiritual Economics, and Charles Fillmore on prosperity. So if you're interested, please sign up. We'd like to have a full group for that. And then also on Saturday, April 15th, Shad Groverland, the CEO of Unity Worldwide Ministries, is going to be here presenting a workshop on the power of focused ministry. He's gonna do this workshop on Saturday from 10 to 3, and then he'll be our Sunday morning guest speaker on the next day, on April 16th. But we really want to encourage, this is a wonderful opportunity I feel like if you do one thing this year, as far as leadership development with our church, this would be the thing to show up for. And this is a workshop that he's created to help ministries like ours that are coming out of the pandemic and dealing with all the changes that the world is bringing. And he's presented it at probably 30 different unity churches around the country. He's gotten very good feedback. And so I'm hoping that we'll have a really good turnout. We had a great team leaders meeting last week, and I'm hoping all those people should be here on Saturday, April 15th, so you can sign up over on the table. And then just a reminder that the SBCA collection of donations in Clara's Closet is ongoing. You can bring things in as much as you want every week or as often as you can. So I think did I get it all? And Judy's, her husband Bob is up for, the proposal is to name the natatorium at Kenmore West High School for Robert Puffpack. And so see Judy if you want to be able to submit an email or a message to the Kenmore school system to tell them, yeah, we think he deserves it. So we want to honor him in that way. So, okay, I think we're ready to form our closing circle and close the service. And we're including Chrissy and Don, even though they're not part of our circle. Well, aren't we? We're all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. We are all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. Hey, that was good. Okay. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant